tennis or golfer's elbow, you're definitely in the right place. So if you have tennis elbow, this position of your wrist would give you pain. And if you have golfer's elbow, that position would give you pain. So let's stretch out the extensors of the forearm first. So you're going to have the back of your hand flat down, your fingers pointing to the back wall, and keep your elbow facing backwards. So don't have it out to the side. You want it facing forward like I just showed you here. So again, don't have it this way. Turn that so the inside of your forearm is facing forward. This will help you to get the best stretch in this position. So I'm just going to show you here. Really make sure it's facing the front, not out to the side, because you want to get the best stretch possible. So in order to do that, it's best to have that forearm facing forward. Now you're going to slightly bend your elbow to make it easier. Your wrist may be a little bit sore, so we're going to stretch out the other side. Now have your palm down, fingers still facing back, and really let the front of that forearm stretch right out. We like to hold our stretches as best as we can because that really allows the muscles to actually relax. When you first go into a stretch, it's the muscle's instinct to tense up to protect the joints. So that's why we have to hold it. So let's show you from a different angle because I'm also going to get you to slightly bend your elbow. So the bottom of your hand will pop off the chair a little bit, but with bending the elbow, you're going to get slightly different muscles in the forearm. It's very important to get all sorts of angles and different fibers when we're stretching out muscles because all of these can contribute to the golfer's or tennis elbow that you are feeling. It's recommended that you would do these stretches once a day and this video every 2 or 3 days. Now make a fist, back of your hand on the chair. Make sure your elbow is straight and lean right back on the chair. This is again getting different fibers or different intensity of the stretch when we start to include different ranges of motion within the hand or the elbow. We want to be very thorough with everything that we're doing so that we make sure we're effective as possible with our time. And now gently lean forward, slowly recover from the position. Your wrist may be a little sore here, so just kind of gently move it around. And we're going to do the other side as well. So even if you don't feel the pain on this side, I want you to do this side because what happens is when you have an issue on one side, you rely more on the other hand to do the work that you used to do on that injured side. So again, make sure you're keeping that elbow forward, so the back of your arm right pointing forward to get the most out of the stretch. Sit up nice and tall. And don't worry about bending the fingers here, just make sure that the back of your hand is flat on the chair. Now gently recover and point your fingers to the back, palm this time on the chair. Keep your elbow nice and straight. Stretch out the front of the flexor part of the forearm. Again, really embrace the stretch. We're trying to hold our stretches here to actually stretch the muscle and make sure that muscle has enough time to relax. Now gently bend the elbow. Again, the bottom of the heel of the hand will pop off slightly. And you'll notice that the stretch will change more so to your wrist as opposed to the top of your elbow, or closer to the elbow joint rather. Now we're going to gently recover and make that fist. Back of the hand on the chair, really lean back in the chair. Make sure that elbow is facing to the back so that the front of your forearm is twisting forward. If this stretch is too intense for you, just bend your fingers a little bit. You don't have to hold the full fist. That can be quite difficult. But work up to it, because eventually the muscles will become more and more elastic, allowing you to have greater and greater range of motion ability. And now recover, work your wrist out, and we're just gonna get a spoon actually. Now this is known as a little bit of fascial work, and we're just gonna gently, so not a lot of pressure. We're not digging in and trying to scrape the first layer of skin off. We're just trying to move it, gliding it along the area where you feel the most pain. So I always go completely up and down the arm. I did not use lotion here, but if you want to use a little bit of lotion, feel free to do so. This is just a great way to help bring more range of motion and circulation and blood and all that great stuff. So let's switch sides, making sure we're getting that top part of the elbow and the bottom part of the elbow. There's no perfect way to do it, just as long as you're gliding up and down to the bottom of your wrist, to your elbow, to really make sure you're getting all those muscles and tendons and the fascia of those. That's all we ask. And we're going to do the inside now. Making sure you're getting the top and bottom of that part of the elbow, just like we did on the other side. All the areas where you're feeling discomfort. You'll notice there may be little blotches of red marks. That's normal, and you'll notice that it might create a little bit of heat as well. That is also normal, but it won't last any more than 10 to 15 minutes. You might also get a little bit of bruising after. If you do, you're pressing just a little bit too hard. But also if you're on blood thinners, this is something you might want to skip. But of course, you shouldn't be pressing that hard anyways. So go ahead and grab an elastic band if you have one. If not, just practicing the range of motion will be fine. So the first range we're going to be doing is bring our wrist up and aiming it to the opposite shoulder, like I'm demonstrating here, and controlling it down. So we want to hang that wrist off the edge and rest our forearm on the table or counter. So don't lift your forearm like I demonstrated there, just keep it nice and flat. So we're going to be powering up for 1 second and lowering it for 5. So this is working on the strength called eccentric contraction. That is when the muscles are contracting, but they're lengthening as they're still contracting. Eccentric work is one of the best things to do next to cold laser therapy when it comes to tendonitis, which is what golfer's elbow and tennis elbow is. When clients come to see me with tennis elbow or golfer's elbow, the biggest thing that we're doing for treatment is cold laser. So I highly recommend that if you have a cold laser facility in your area, specifically BioFlex laser, that is what I would recommend to do in conjunction with these exercises. The combination is incredibly effective. So a few more here. Really control that motion on the way down. Now, it shouldn't be difficult for you to do. You should be able to do all ranges of motion. Now let's switch to the other side. So just switch sides so that your wrist can come up. So you're still going to be bringing your hand towards that opposite shoulder and letting it slowly come down. And again, pump it up for 1. And control down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You want to make sure that your shoulder is relaxed and it's not being pressed towards your ear. So you might have to play around with adding cushions on the chair, or you might have to stand at a countertop. You'll just have to test it out to see what is best for yourself. Don't just bring your wrist up. Make sure that you're going on that diagonal angle towards the other shoulder. Now let's switch sides to change the angle here so that you can see both. Again, you're moving that wrist towards that opposite shoulder and then gently letting it pull you down. And pull up and down. So it's great to get that explosive movement and then slowly controlling down. Here's from another angle. So you really see from this angle that diagonal pattern of the wrist here. And flip your arm over and other side. So still bring that arm to the opposite shoulder, or sorry, that wrist to the opposite shoulder. And it's all about the controlling down. That's the most important part of this exercise, is the controlling of that range of motion and that elastic back down. Great. Now we're going to use the same elastic and we're going to use one leg to step on it. Now this is all about blood flow. So you want to maintain, so keep your shoulders down here first off. Do not bring your shoulders to your ears. You are only moving in a range that allows you to do this motion when your ears are not coming right to your shoulders rather are not coming right to your ears. and maintain the contraction in your arms the entire time. So at no point in time should there be laxity on the elastic band. So there should be no point where there's no tension in the elastic band. Try to maintain the tension. That is the most important part, because that will require contraction of the arm muscles 100% of the time during these motions, as you're controlling this upward and downward motion, so that when you release, you have a massive flow of blood right into the arms, which is going to be huge for helping you to heal. Just really try to breathe here. Remember, shoulders down, pressing down, and just release. So move your arms, whatever you gotta do to shake them out. Now stretch out here. So grab the back of your arm, curl your fingers, and stretch your elbow out. So we're doubling up on the stretches. Now switch, turn your wrist the other way. Good, and the other side. Make sure your elbow's nice and straight. And flip the wrist. A few more seconds, and prepare to get the elastic band again. Make a fist and have your palms facing each other. These are hammer curls. And extend. So keep the tension in the elastic band the entire time. Bend the elbows, then use the shoulders to extend up towards the ceiling and slightly lower, still keeping tension so that your muscles are contracting the entire time. Remember, the whole point of this is to keep the tension in the muscles the entire time by keeping tension in the elastic band the entire time, and that essentially starves the muscles of the blood temporarily, so that once we release, there's a massive flow of blood to these muscles, which is super important to the tendons, because the tendonitis, these tendons of the golfer's elbow, tennis elbow that are affected, do not get a lot of blood flow. So this is a great way to help solve that problem. Just move your elbows up and shake everything out. So we're gonna take a quick 15-second break here. So do whatever you gotta do, shake around a little bit, get some water. We're going to do one more exercise in 1 second. So grab the elastic band. Now this time, palms down towards the floor and squeeze the shoulders back, slight bend in the elbows, and then gently allow it to recover. Don't bring your elbows or your shoulders towards your ears. Keep everything pressed down. Again, slowly allow it to come forward, keeping the tension on the elastic band the entire time and squeezing shoulders back. So essentially the line of tension you're pulling is right in the middle of your chest. So keep the tension in the elastic band the entire time. You know the drill by now. At this point, your arms will be burning, you'll be tired, you might even be shaking. Don't forget to breathe, keep the tension in the arms. Squeeze those shoulder blades back, almost like you're trying to squeeze a sheet of paper between them. Squeeze squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Keep those contractions. Do not allow the elastic band to lessen. Okay, you're lucky. We're done. So now really swing your arms like this, because that will help to get the blood down into your forearms, which is what we want. We want to give blood supply to that tendon. Good, a few more seconds, and you'll notice there's going to be a lot of pressure building up in your hands. So we're just going to take care of that right now. So just stand next to a wall and just hold your arms above your head and just kind of let everything sink back down. And all we're doing is just breathing here. Breathing here and allowing our body to come back to a normal state. So just a disclaimer, you will be a little sore tomorrow if you're not used to this type of work, but this is known as delayed onset muscle soreness, and this will go away within the next 24 to 48 hours. This is great work for you to do, but it can be intense. We recommend that you do the scraping part if you are doing that and you're not on blood thinners. Only do that every 3 days. The other stretches and parts of the video that we did, you can do every 2 to 3 days, like I was mentioning before. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. When you subscribe, you will be one of the first to be notified when I release videos in the future. If you have any recommendations or suggestions on videos you would like to see me post in the future, please leave that in the comments below. And of course, thank you for all your support.